There's a chance for some severe weather today. We will get the details here in a moment. The House is on recess, but supposedly there is still some work getting done. We'll get an update on that. And it's Monday. Time for our weekly conversation with Machinery Pete.
Live from the short hop into April via Farm Journal broadcast, this is AgriTalk. This morning we begin with a conversation with Machinery Pete, Greg Peterson. Then it's U.S. Representative Randy Feentra of Iowa. And directly following the news, Brett Waltz from BAM WX. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson, and now welcome the host of AgriTalk, Chip Lowry.
All right, Davis. Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Happy April Fool's Day.
Huh? Is this great or what?
I'm just going to put it out there right now. I am also going to put out there that there are some people on certain social media platforms talking about certain issues that are near and dear to some people's hearts that don't have a good concept of what is in good taste on an April Fool's joke.
Oh, we got comedians out is what we got.
Well, yeah. We got the real amateurs are out there. There is no question about it. You know, this kid's jumping in the portal, corn limit up.
Here we go.
You know, stuff like that. Stuff like that.
There will be no tomfoolery on AgriTalk today. None.
No way, no how.
Nope, forget about it.
No way, no how. Welcome to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. Glad you're with us.
Seems like just yesterday it was March, you know? Where does the time go?
Well, that's because it was.
Oh, really?
Yes.
See?
Yes.
No tomfoolery.
Right. So here we are, April 1. Happy Easter, by the way. Hope you had a great one.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Oh, me?
Good.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Absolutely. There was pork roast and rhubarb pie. I mean, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. My
good
pants
choice.
still don't fit right. They still don't fit right.
Good choice. Yeah. We had the traditional, the Easter ham.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to beat.
Nice.
Hard to beat. So, yeah, but at least we can show up today saying we're all smarter.
Oh, I feel
for
so
having
smart.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good choices ahead.
Right. We have not talked live since the Iowa State Cyclones were beaten in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, well, it happens, and it happened.
Okay.
So here we are. We're down to the Final Four, and good luck to all the teams that are left. We got a lot of Midwesterners. How about NC State?
Yeah.
The 11 seed making it to the Final Four. UConn, then Purdue, and oh no, I'm forgetting the fourth. See, I should have never started.
I couldn't tell you. Stansford, I think it is. Is it Stansford? The Stansford Elk.
So. Huh? I don't think so. I'll have to look it up here during the news. Go ahead and get us started.
Well, I don't want to steal Brett Waltz's thunder here, so I'll just say rain and snow are falling on areas of the central U.S. this morning. We'll get more from Brett Waltz from BAM WX coming up in a minute here. South America, areas of center-western, center-south Brazil received rains over the holiday weekend, improving soil moisture from Mato Grosso to Goiás, northern Sao Paulo, and Minas Gerais. Partial relief from dryness is expected in Mato Grosso do Sul this week, with more during the middle to latter part of next week. Rain will return to the previously flooded areas of southeastern Argentina and Uruguay later this week. Some areas really don't need any rain right now in Argentina and Uruguay, Chip.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But, you know, when the rains do start to fall, you got to, sometimes you get that rolling tide right across it, and it's Alabama. Roll Tide,
indeed. Yeah. I knew you'd get it. Soybean oil used to produce biofuels in the United States fell to 960 million pounds in January. Chip, that's the first time it was below 1 billion pounds since crossing that threshold in May of last year. The Environmental Protection Agency quietly on Good Friday announced new emissions standards for heavy-duty trucks, particularly focusing on the mandate for electric truck adoption. The timing of the announcement was intentional to minimize public attention. The Biden administration's EPA claims it is pushing these regulations in the name of climate change without considering the associated costs and practical challenges. Chip, I hate to say something like the timing of the announcement was intentional to minimize public attention, but dadgummit, you release something like that on Friday afternoon? Good Friday afternoon?
Good Friday afternoon?
Come on.
Well, I'm not too sure if this Biden administration realized that it was a religious holiday weekend or not.
Ouch.
I'll just leave that there.
Gold prices extended their record run overnight as the latest data showing a slowing U.S. inflation trend boosted expectations that the Federal Reserve would deliver its first interest rate cut in June. Several other factors, including heightened tensions in the Middle East and Ukraine, have contributed to gold's rise, up approximately 14% since mid-February. Chip, there are reportedly plans to create a temporary alternate channel near the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge that will allow commercial vessels to access the port. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said Sunday that the Army Corps of Engineers does not want to speculate on a timeline for repairs until damage to the underwater infrastructure can be fully assessed. And finally, quickly, a highly virulent bird flu initially found in dairy cows in Texas and Kansas has spread to more herds, extending to 5 states now. There's evidence suggesting the virus may be transmitted from cow to cow. The strain has been confirmed in Michigan with presumptive positive tests in Idaho and New Mexico. The virus strain found in Michigan, similar to a strain confirmed in Texas and Kansas, appears to have been introduced by wild birds. All this according to USDA. Chip.
Yeah, we're going to have to get more details on this potential cow-to-cow or mammal-to-mammal because that does increase human health concerns.
Yep.
No question about it. All right. Thank you, Davis. Brett Waltz, BAMWX.com. Good morning, Brett.
Hey, good morning, Chip.
Okay. We've got some activity in the middle of the country right now, and this afternoon, potential for some severe weather, correct?
Yes, it is a very busy day today and tomorrow, really, as well.
Okay.
We've got snow ongoing right now across South Dakota, but the biggest concern really is the potential for severe weather, and I think maybe several tornadoes across southeastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and into central Missouri today. And then I'm also concerned about a flash flood threat across kind of the I-70 corridor in Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio as we work into tonight.
Okay. Where is that area of risk tomorrow?
So tomorrow, the threat will be a little bit further east. We're looking at Tennessee, Kentucky, the southern half of Indiana, Ohio, and then all the way down into parts of northern Alabama and Georgia tomorrow. Again, I think all modes of severe weather on the table as the storm system starts to sweep through.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a spring forecast, but there's a little bit of winter in the forecast too, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not an April Fool's Day joke. I think that we need to keep an eye on maybe even parts of eastern Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Illinois as we work into Wednesday. As the system wraps around, I think some snow wraps around with it. Could be several inches of snow across parts of eastern Wisconsin. Even.
Yeah, but I saw some 70s in the forecast for next week.
It does warm back up. In fact, I think the second week of April is actually pretty mild as a whole. Still some storm systems in there we're going to have to keep an eye on. Planes stay pretty active, but at the very least, we warm back up to more normal-like weather.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, Brett, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
Yep, thank you.
You bet. Brett Waltz, BAMWX.com. Okay, it is Monday. That means it is, you guys will not believe this collector auction that happened. Greg's got all of the details coming your way. Get ready to scratch out the old records and put in the new ones.
Machinery Pete here, folks. This segment of AgriTalk brought to you by our friends at Dakota Ag Innovations, makers of Dakota Shine, the best way I've seen to fix faded paint. Go to dakotashine.com or call 888-996-7801.
Welcome back to AgriTalk, man. This is a conversation that you do not want to miss. We've been kind of building up to it here for the last couple of weeks because of the extensive collection of the 55 series John Deere tractors. Let's see if I've got the name right. Rob Plendel. Is that right, Greg?
That is correct, Chip. Yep.
All right.
My friend Rob Plendel out of Kingsley, Iowa.
Excellent.
That was quite the sale he had last Thursday evening.
All right. Well, we're going to get the details. It's Monday. It's time for Machinery Pete, Greg Peterson. Buddy, I hope you had a great Easter.
I did. Had a great time out visiting our daughter in Cincinnati area. Got to see the grandson, and
there you
got to watch the Purdue Boilermakers make the Final Four. First time in 44 years. So it was a happy day.
There you go. All right. Yeah. We had we didn't get any of those, sudden joys from the basketball tournament this weekend. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. You know what? We're watching the Iowa women play and hoping that they advance.
Yeah, you're good. See, that's a good Midwestern attitude, Chip, there. I know you're a Cyclone fan through and through. But up here in Minnesota, over the years, we kind of adopted the same thing. When our Gophers would bomb out, we cheered for whoever made the Rose Bowl. So good on you for cheering for Caitlin and the gals tonight against LSU there.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get to the details of this auction over there in Kingsley. Wow.
Yeah, it was something. I'd been out. I think a lot of people had seen the preview YouTube video we posted when I went out to interview Rob and Kurt Paulson, the auctioneer with Paulson Auctions. And Rob, I'd actually covered an auction he had back 19 or 20, 4 years ago, something like that. He's one of these guys, big farmer, but collector guy, and he sold a previous collection of like two-cylinder rare models, John Deere 6030s and tractors like that, high crops. Super strong sale back 4 years ago. And then he kind of moved on and he started collecting 55 series deer. And the sale Thursday night, he had 10 of them, 2 each, except he just had one 40-55 and one 42-55. And then he had a set of 44-55s, 45-55s, 47 and 49-55s. Ton of interest in this thing. And it was really interesting, Chip. We're seeing more online auctions end in the evening.
Yep.
We're going to see more and more of it. I think it just, a lot of people don't like it, but it just fits for a lot of folks. And I was watching this thing unfold because I was going to blog about it, and it was unbelievable to watch that thing take place. So if you took the 10 tractors, folks, the number one, the highest seller was the two-wheel drive 90 model John Deere 4955 at 3,733 hours on it. It was the last one to sell the 10, and that bidding just went on and on and on. It went for $100,750. For perspective, before last Thursday night, the highest I'd ever seen on a 4955 ever was $84,750. Interestingly, also out of Iowa, that was back July of 21 in Hartley, Iowa. But the mechanical front 4955 sold earlier in the evening last Thursday, also a 90 model, about just under $3,600. That went for $92,500, so that set a record, and that lasted about an hour until the two-wheel drive sold. And one of the themes throughout the night, I thought, was we've talked about it a lot over the last couple of years, but the two-wheel drive models from the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, we can try and figure out reasons why, but they have just continued to get hotter the last couple of years.
Wow.
So if we went down the list, there was also a record on the 4755 two-wheel drive 90 model, 4,011 hours, went for $95,000 last Thursday. That was a record by $13,000. Also a record on a second highest ever on the two-wheel drive 4455, 2,152 hours. That went for $95,250. The only higher one was back October 28th last year in Winchester, Kentucky. We saw one go for $97,850.
Okay.
But then you go down the line. The other 4755, the mechanical front, went for $78,750. That was the third highest ever. The 4255 went for 3,371 hours. Went for $77,250. Third highest ever. Did set another record on the 4555 mechanical. 4,500 hours. I went for $94,500. That was a record by $23,000.
Jeez.
So, it was quite a night watching that unfold there. In an economy that's a little bit tighter.
Yep.
And there was tons of commentary on it as I was posting about it. People were like, "Well, this doesn't make sense." When things are like they are right now, but to me, it correlated pretty closely to land prices. Who's buying? And, however you want to call it, old money, whatever, there've been some good years in ag, and, I don't think, these people aren't paying 7-8% interest. They're just writing a check.
Right.
Mostly like for the land as well. So, that was quite an evening last Thursday.
Yeah. Congratulations to Rob. Good grief. What an offering. What an accomplishment to put a collection like that together.
Well, there's a lot of, folks like Rob around the country. It's interesting to me over the years, Chip, particularly the last 15 years since we've been on YouTube, people start to look ahead, right? So, when the two cylinders were hot, I suppose back in the day when people started buying up, whatever, John Deere 620s or Farmall 560s, people were like, what are you collecting those things for? That's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, no, eventually they'll be what people want to buy.
Yep.
And then it progressed, the muscle tractors. Now we're starting to see up, to the 80s and 90s and the Magnums on the red side, same thing. So it's really interesting to follow.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to another auction on Friday there in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'll be posting a little bit more about this one coming up, folks, but it was by my friends at Deutz Auctions. Minnesota, great little community, southwest part of the state there. Little farm auction. They had one item that kind of blew my socks off. We've talked a lot the last couple of years about, where's the most interest in the used market? Well, in retrofit used planters. Okay, now normally, when you think of that, you might think of a 13, 14, 15 model, 24 row or whatever. Well, it ain't just that. Because the sale last Friday, they had a John Deere 1760 12 row that had tons of precision updates, about $61,000. So, imagine you're me and you've collected auction price. That's what you do every day. You compile auction price. And how many 1760s? You go all the way back. Okay. So I saw that price. I'm like, holy smokes. I go into our machinerypete.com auction prices. And again, folks, it's all free. You can hop in there right with me and look at this stuff. You can filter, show me the highest, the most recent, whatever. Well, it's the second highest auction price ever in a 12 row 1760. The only one higher, Chip, was back December 12th of 2012 in Marion, South Dakota. So you're talking almost 11 and a half years ago, and it was, basically a new planter.
Yeah.
But that's what this one was. That's the thing with these retro-built planters. Yeah, they're older, but it's like a new planter.
Yeah.
So 61K. And even though that, people might say, well, that's crazy high. Well, let's just stop there and think. Because if you want a new 12-row planter, what will that cost you, my friend? It's a lot more than 61K. So it's all relative, I guess.
Exactly. Okay. Sioux Center, Iowa.
Oh, okay. For you fans of yellow tractors, last Thursday, my good friends at Zomer Company Realty and Auction, fantastic firm out there. They had a consignment sale. I think it's an annual sale they have every year at the old airport there in Sioux Center, Iowa. And one tractor off of this big, huge sale popped out. It was a 1971 Minneapolis Moline G550 with only 4,575 original hours on it. The folks had owned it since like 1975. Same folks that I think last year sold a John Deere 7930 for a record price on the same sale. And I think this was the third of 24 made on this G550. Brought $38,000. Some of the family members out there sent me a video from the auction, so we posted that to our Machinery Pete YouTube if you want to watch a rare G550 sell. And when I got looking, Chip, that's of all the Minneapolis Moline tractors I've ever seen sold at auction. If you took out those unique UDLXs, which were like the car tractors back in the late 30s, you'd work in the field and drive it down on Saturday night. If you took those out, $38K, that's the third highest auction price I've ever seen on a mini mow. So pretty cool. Last Thursday.
Very cool. Greg, we're out of time, but good stuff. Some really, really neat perspective on.
It was a fun week last week.
Yes, it was. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Chip.
All right, Greg Peterson, Machinery Beat. Coming up next, Representative Randy Feentra from Iowa.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
All right. Sorry about that little bit of a delay. Brian Grady, have we got you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got about a minute to go through this. What's the source of the pressure on corn and soybeans?
Well, so corn had the big reaction up last Thursday to USDA's report, so pulling back from that. But really, it's the wheat market that's facing the heaviest pressure, HRW contracts in particular. Soybeans traded higher overnight, but boy, the buyer interest has dried up during daytime trade here.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Okay, take us over to the livestock trade. Live cattle trying to show some strength.
Yeah, trying to recoup some of those recent losses that we've had in there, and feeders as well. Feeders are actually leading to the upside with strong gains, moderate strength in the front end of live cattle. Hog futures opened lower in reaction to last Thursday's hogs and pigs report, but now we're showing strong gains here at mid-morning.
Yeah, all right, Brian. Good stuff. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. That is Pro Farmer Editor Brian Grady on Markets Now.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. I don't know what you're thinking. So call us at 855-4TALK-AG and tell us what's on your mind.
All right, welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm your host, Chip Flory. Glad that you are with us on this Monday morning, April 1st. Yeah, happy April Fool's Day. But we are going to take on some serious issues right now with Representative Randy Feentra, representing the 4th District of Iowa. Congressman, welcome back to AgriTalk. It's great to talk with you again. How are you?
Hey, Chip. It's great to be on AgriTalk today. You know what? Well, we're getting rain in northwest Iowa. You know, we sort of had some drought conditions, and the last couple of weeks we've got, 1, 2, 2.5 inches of rain. So it's a big deal for us. So I'm excited. Yeah,
we're getting a little bit up here in northeast Iowa this morning as well. Not as much as we'd like to get, but it's like you say, it's been a more active pattern. We're starting to add up some rainfall totals, and it's got to be doing some good. There's no question about it. So yeah.
The frost is out of the ground, so it's doing good. Absolutely.
Yep, that's got to have some of the farmers in your district a little more optimistic for the year ahead, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, actually they're getting pretty antsy. You know, it's 70-degree weather. 5-7 days ago, and everybody's talking about, hey, when can we get in? Now we're getting some rain, so it all goes together. And I think the guys are ready to start planting here shortly.
So you've been going out and doing some meetings. What are you learning from the people in your district?
I tell you what, the bottom line is they want the farm bill. I mean, you start looking at the downward pressure on the commodity markets. You're just talking about them, but corn right now at $4.35, soybeans under 12. It's a big deal. And then also on livestock, you got hogs. You're losing about $40 a head right now. I mean, people are feeling the downward pressure, so they're saying, what can we do with this new ag bill that can promote this? And the biggest thing is obviously that export market. If we can grow the export market, if we can double down on FMD and MAP, and then if we can figure out how to help developing markets like Africa with some of the supply chain issues, especially refrigeration, that we can import some of our hog and cheese, and you name it, some of this stuff that needs the refrigeration. I mean, these are big deals. That's really what I'm hearing. And then finally, obviously, the reference price. Because of the low commodity prices, everybody's saying, hey, we want that reference price up there. Not that we've ever used it, but maybe there comes a time where we need to.
Right. Exactly. So, on the trade issues, Congressman, as soon as we got the updates to the year-long projections for the U.S. ag trade deficit, unfortunately, it seems like there's been more and more attention given to the lack of an effort from the Biden administration. And here's the thing. They fund some of the efforts that you mentioned, but as far as putting action behind that funding, I don't know if it's happening or not.
Yeah, no, and that's the biggest concern. You have our U.S. Trade Representative Kathleen Tai, and then you have Bill Sack, head of USDA, and they talk a good game, but there's no action. We haven't seen any free trade agreements. I mean, I sit on Ways and Means that handles all the trade, and there's just nothing occurring. And we met with them saying, a lot of these African countries want to engage with us. What are we doing with Europe right now? How about Brazil and Mexico with some of these trade barriers that we're having? This is a real problem. And like just what you said, when you have a $30 billion trade deficit, right, that should be a hollering to them saying, hey, we got a problem here. But it's just like pushing a rope. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, especially coming on because of the fact that we're coming off a trade surplus. Ag has always paid its way, and now, at least for 2024, it doesn't look like that is going to happen. What is the attitude toward the Farm Bill in the House right now, Congressman? I know that there's some frustration, but I've been arguing and saying that the leadership in the House is going to force the issue at some point in 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, Chip, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I mean, The House will pass a farm bill. I mean, I have full confidence in our chairman, G.T. Thompson. We talk all the time. And we are waiting for this CBO score to see how much it's going to cost. We're hoping that was going to be done in March. Obviously, it didn't get done. We're hoping here early April we get the score, and he wants to take it to committee once we get that done, and pass it out of committee and take it to the floor, and hopefully get it off the floor in May. But I will assure you this: I think it gets out of the House. Now, what happens in the Senate is the problem. You were stabbing Alan Bozeman. I'm not sure where they want to go with this thing, but I just believe that we're going to get it out of the House. And the question would be, all right, the biggest question is how bipartisan is it going to be? And that's sort of the crux of the House right now. The Democrats have really not laid out their hand and saying, hey, we're going to support it or not. So we're sort of blindly figuring this out, whether we're going to have the votes from the Democrats or not as we move forward.
Yeah. With such a narrow majority in the House, it's got to be bipartisan, or there's no way it's going to get done. Is that right?
No, exactly right. And so obviously the things that they're centered around are the SNAP programs and stuff like that, which it seems like we're not touching. There's a couple things that we want to go. I have a bill within this thing called looking at the overpayment right now. There's an overpayment of SNAP about $1 billion a month. We're simply saying, hey, we need to look at that. And I don't think that's nonpartisan. I mean, I think everybody agrees to that. But there's still this issue when the CBO score comes out and what we've done with SNAP. Is this enough? Where the Democrats say, hey, we're willing to move forward collectively, collaboratively to get this thing done. But you're exactly right. I mean, there's only one way this thing's going to pass, and it's going to be bipartisan. My question is, how bipartisan does it have to be? I mean, if you have your ag committee, that's all people on the ag committee, if we can get it out of ag, how many members of the Democrat Party do we need to get it, to flush it down to the Senate? And that's going to be the big question.
Yep. And then once a bipartisan bill gets it over to the Senate, I don't know what Schumer's reaction to that is going to be. It's really tough to tell if they're going to push it forward.
Right. Exactly. And Stabenow talks a good game. You know, she says she wants it to be her legacy. Okay, that's fantastic. But that means it has to get done this year.
Right.
And, it really creates a real tight schedule because you have lame duck coming up, by November. So, and then you get some recess. We got about 2 months where we're not in session because you got September and October where people are campaigning. So really, it's got to get done in July, and that window is going to be really tight to try to get things done in the Senate.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. What do people in Iowa, people across the Midwest, need to know about President Biden's $7.3 trillion budget?
Yeah. First of all, the 30,000-foot view, when you're talking a $7.3 billion budget, the things that have to scare everybody. I mean, again, 30,000-foot view is you continue to push inflationary factors, right? So in the farming community, you start thinking of input costs, right? Because you're putting that much cash into the system. That's a problem in generalities. But if you dig into the bill, which we have to be concerned about, and again, this is more of a, I don't think this bill is going to go anywhere as sort of reflection on, hey, this is the Biden, what he wants to do. But it's clear to me is that if he gets reelected, there's a couple of big points that we have to be worried about. Obviously, inflation, but stepped up in basis. He's going after that again. We want to pass that land on or that farm on to the next generation. And he wants to get rid of stepped up in basis. That's a huge issue, and that's part of the farm bill, or part of his budget bill. The other thing, which is really scary, is like-kind exchange. We do a lot of like-kind exchange when you trade combines, tractors, or even land. And that's a new tax in this thing that he wants to tax like-kind exchange. And then finally, the death tax repeal. So right now, death tax, you don't have to pay tax up to $11 million. So if you have $11 million worth of assets, you're passing them on to that next generation. You don't have to pay tax. That goes down by half, goes down to $5.5 million come next year, and that's not changed in this new budget. So those three things are pretty big tax increases.
Yep. Along
with that inflation with input costs. These are to me the big things that we have to worry about when it comes to the Democrats setting up their game plan for the budget in the next year.
Yeah. That budget, like you said, you can't believe that it's going to pass and become law, but it does speak to the agenda of the White House and the party. And how many times did you say tax and new tax?
Yeah. Yes. and the reason for that, they want to create a lot of new programs, but new programs, they have to fund it through new tax. And that's what I worry about. They're going after, in essence, the breadbasket of America. They're going after our producers. And that should worry us a lot, of what that looks like and what they're trying to say through this budget.
Yes, absolutely. Congressman, we don't have you on enough. I'd like to get you back on fairly soon and talk about what is going on down at the border if we could.
Yeah, Chip, I always enjoy being on AgriTalk. Thanks so much for having me on.
You bet. That is Representative Randy Feentra, 4th District of Iowa. Davis and I will be right back.
Our name says it all. AgriTalk. What more do you need to know?
Happiest Monday morning to you all. Or as we say here in the South, y'all.
Y'all.
We just run them together. Just push them together, It's y'all.
Saves time.
Saves time. We don't have time for you all down here. We've got time for y'all, though. Glad you've made some time for us. Your pal, Davis Michelson, on AgriTalk with Chip Flory.
Mm-hmm.
I got the weather map up here.
Yes.
Looks like Minneapolis is just skating by, shooting the gap on some precip
some
there.
Snow
but
up there.
South Dakota's getting a little bit of snow, some rain scattered across Iowa, but Brett Waltz from BAM WX highlighted the potential for some large hail, some severe thunderstorms, some winds, some tornadoes possibly, down through, I think, kind of starting in the panhandle of Oklahoma and then working their way westward toward the East Coast. So heads up for the weather out there, gang.
Yeah. Oklahoma up into Missouri and even the southern part of Illinois for today. Then tomorrow, just shift everything to the east and south, and include the Gulf states in that area that is going to be at risk for severe weather. But it kind of stinks up in southeast South Dakota, southwest Minnesota, even northern Nebraska, where they're getting the snow and the ice. None of that's any fun on April 1. None of it.
No. You know, Prince has a song, and it's a sad song, called Sometimes It Snows in April.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I might have to look that up later.
I don't know if you need to.
Well, you know, it's gonna snow here on, Wednesday? I think that's
you don't know that. You don't know that.
I think it's going to snow here on Wednesday.
It's forecast, though.
That's right.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
I'm going to have some sad music to play during the show in the background, yeah.
Well, Prince is your guy for that.
Prince is the guy.
Sound like a heck of a wingding in Kingsley, Iowa.
Holy
Machinery
smokes.
Pete all fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. What a collection of 55 series John Deere tractors. And, boy, to have it pay off the way that it did, oh, man, that is absolutely incredible. But, you know, Greg is making a great point. It's not like these tractors, especially when you consider the fact that the two-wheel drive models are bringing more than the front-wheel assist models. Okay, I think I know why.
All right.
It's because you don't need the front-wheel assist to drive them in a parade. You know?
Hey, that's not bad.
You know, it's not like these tractors are being bought with 8% interest, and being bought to go back out in the field and get to work. These are collectors. They're probably going to stay collector items, but it's fun to look at that part of the world from time to time and see what some of that equipment is worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're not tacking on that extra 7 to 8% or whatever percent interest through some sort of financing vehicle, interesting that Pete made the mention, and he sort of alluded to the land market, this being the case as well, that there's cash on hand for this, for at least enough of these purchases that it'll drive prices higher.
Right. Absolutely. The Greg said it. There's some old money out there that needs to find its way into new hands. And if it takes a tractor exchange to make that happen, both parties are normally happy.
Yeah. Even the 12-row planters look sexy with a little precision ag equipment on them, huh?
But that piece of equipment is going into the field. There's no question going to work. There. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for some of the guys out there that have some smaller plots, some misshapen,
Sure.
cricks, timber fingers, there's all kinds of reasons that a 24-row planter loaded up with all the latest and greatest on precision ag doesn't work for them, but a 12-row planter does. And when it does become available and it's got everything that you need in the used market, that's when you start setting records on 12-row planters. Because if you're going to go to the local dealership and say, write me up a ticket, this is what I want. Oh, no, I want it in 12-row, not 24.
Yeah.
The price tag on that is going to be quite a bit north of what is happening in the used markets.
Yep. You know, Congressman Feentra from the 4th District of Iowa, I feel like did a really good job of veiling some major serious concerns on trade. They talk a good game, but there's no action. A frustrating situation there. And you made the comment, ag has always paid its own way.
Yeah.
But we're in a deficit now.
Yeah, projected a $30 billion deficit on ag trade in 2024. There are some issues that make 2024 unique. I mean, look at this cattle price. Look at the price of beef. Look at the availability of beef. There's going to be an increase in beef imports. That's what the market is demanding. And that's one of the things that the market is going to get. But we should be looking at offsetting that with increased pork exports. But you just have that reduced value of corn exports, of bean exports, and the competition from Brazil, dude. I mean, the market was not handed willingly over to Brazil, but nonetheless, Brazil has taken a huge chunk of that market share, dude, and it's an adjustment period that we're going to have to go through, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is.
All right. Hey, thank you so much for listening this morning. Hope you enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it. There was a lot of good conversation with Representative Feentra and with Greg. Come back this afternoon, conversation with Clark Neighbors, BIS Commodities, right here on AgriTalk.